I watched Rick Powell delete 18 months of my work with one mouse click. He stood at the front of the conference room, finger hovering over that delete key like he was disarming a bomb. 32 guys from operations watching in dead silence. My turkey sandwich getting cold in my hand, and that goddamn smirk spreading across his face. "Cole's client intelligence system," he announced, reading my folder name off the projector screen. Or as I like to call it, 18 months of time-wasting social work. The screen blinked. Gone. Every piece of operational intel I'd gathered, every client note that had prevented contract losses, every driver insight that had improved delivery efficiency, deleted like it never existed. "No need to clutter the server with this fluff," Rick said, scanning the room. "Let's stick to real metrics next quarter." That's when my phone started buzzing in my jacket pocket. Unknown number, but something told me to check it anyway. The call that changed everything. But let me back up. You need to understand how I got to that moment, watching my commanding officer, because that's what Rick thought he was, execute my work in front of the entire team. 18 months earlier, I joined Brooks Logistics as a freight coordinator. 8 years Navy logistics, 2 tours managing supply chains in places where one missed delivery could cost lives. Figured civilian freight would be straightforward after coordinating equipment drops in Afghanistan. Wrong. First week nearly made me quit. Route tracking, delivery confirmations, client complaints, same problems cycling through every week like a broken record. Equipment delays at construction sites, timing conflicts at manufacturing plants, frustrated drivers dealing with unreasonable customers. Nobody connecting the dots, nobody preventing the same failures from repeating. Rick Powell was already my supervisor then. MBA from some prestigious school, ran operations like a factory assembly line. If it wasn't in the manual, you didn't touch it. Simple rule. Follow protocols, hit metrics, don't improvise. But I started noticing patterns that reminded me of convoy operations overseas. When your intelligence is bad, people get hurt. When you don't understand the human factors affecting your mission, equipment fails and objectives get missed. A crane operator calling in sick every Friday. Turns out his kid was having seizures and he couldn't leave during school hours. Construction site complaining about early deliveries. Their safety briefings ran long because of new regulations. Manufacturing plant missing pickup windows, plant manager dealing with his father's cancer treatments and couldn't focus on scheduling. Standard operating procedure was to file complaints, note the problems, and blame external factors. We lost the Morrison construction account my second month. No analysis, no post-mission review. Rick's assessment, not a good fit anyway. But the site foreman had told me exactly what went wrong. Our drivers kept showing up when his crane operator was unavailable, creating safety hazards and schedule conflicts. Timing issue, nothing more. Fixable with basic situational awareness. So I started my own intelligence file. Not emotions, operational factors, family situations affecting performance, equipment schedules impacting delivery windows, site-specific requirements the official system ignored. When Kenny Walsh mentioned his regular construction route supervisor was getting married and would be distracted for 2 weeks, I logged it. Adjusted delivery protocols without making a big deal. Guy came back specifically requesting Kenny for the next month's runs. Another client mentioned their plant foreman was retiring and the replacement was inexperienced. I flagged it, briefed our drivers on extended communication protocols and extra verification procedures. What could have been a relationship reset became stronger operational coordination. I wasn't being soft. I was applying basic military intelligence principles. Know your operational environment, understand personnel factors, anticipate problems before they become mission failures. Rick caught wind after a few months. "Don't waste time on side chatter, Brennan. You're not their counselor." I nodded, kept my expression neutral. "Copy that," but I didn't stop. Just got more tactical about information gathering. The more intel I collected, the clearer the picture became. These weren't customer service notes. They were operational threat assessments. A foreman under family stress makes poor safety decisions. A crane operator worried about job security cuts corners on procedures. A plant manager dealing with medical emergencies can't maintain focus on efficiency protocols. One Tuesday morning, reviewing missed confirmations, Tony Romano called in. Ice cream distribution company, 8-year client, solid operational relationship. But something in his voice sounded different. Flat, distracted. "Order numbers look off," he said. But his tone carried that 1,000-yard stare I recognized from guys dealing with personal casualties. While we worked through the logistics, he mentioned it casual like, "My old man passed last week." Just stated it like weather data. then kept talking delivery schedules. After the call, I updated his client profile, family bereavement, father deceased. Recommend flexible billing timeline, avoid pressure tactics next 2 weeks. Then I did something Rick would have written me up for. Sent a simple card. Nothing fancy, thinking of you and your family during this time. Cole at Brooks Logistics. Month later, Tony upgraded to our premium express service. No rate negotiation, no promotional pressure. Just signed the contract and said, appreciate you guys being solid. That's when I understood this wasn't guesswork anymore. This was operational intelligence producing measurable results. The real test came with Maggie O'Brien's vineyard operation. High maintenance account, boutique winery in Oregon. Delivery delays triggered her like incoming mortars. She'd once threatened to terminate our contract because a shipment of custom bottles arrived with minor damage. Weather delays hit her route hard 1 month. She filed a formal complaint that could have cost us the entire West Coast wine distribution contract. I called her directly, provided detailed situation report, acknowledged impact on her production timeline, then mentioned I'd seen the trade magazine feature on her latest vintage. Impressive achievement for a small operation. Nothing excessive, just demonstrated we understood her business beyond delivery schedules. Her response, you actually read that article. Week later, she upgraded to climate-controlled premium service. No sales pressure, no promotional offers. This wasn't customer relations. This was strategic intelligence application producing quantifiable operational improvements. My phone was still buzzing in that conference room, Rick still smirking at the empty screen where my work used to be. Drivers started noticing the operational improvements too. Kenny Walsh used to complain every time I assigned him the Denver construction route. Said the site supervisor was aggressive and unreasonable, made every delivery feel like walking through a minefield. I called the supervisor directly, listened to his actual concerns. Turned out he wasn't unreasonable. He was frustrated because morning deliveries disrupted his crew's mandatory safety briefings. New OSHA regulations required extended protocols, and early arrivals created scheduling conflicts that affected compliance. Simple fix. Shifted Kenny's delivery window back 3 hours. Next time Kenny ran Denver, he came back with a different story. Guy actually thanked me for being flexible. Asked about my family, offered coffee. Complete turnaround. After that, Kenny specifically requested Denver routes every Friday. Same client, same delivery requirements, different operational understanding. They weren't stupid. The drivers, the clients, the site supervisors, they all recognized when someone was paying attention to operational reality instead of just following standard protocols. But Rick Powell noticed too. During our quarterly review, he pulled me aside. This popularity contest approach you're running, Brennan, it's not professional. It's not scalable. I kept my expression neutral. Client satisfaction scores are up 38% in my sector. That's not the point. He stepped closer, trying to establish dominance through proximity. Classic corporate intimidation tactic. You're making this department look unstable. Clients shouldn't expect emotional hand-holding. Operational intelligence isn't emotional, Rick. It's tactical. His jaw tightened. Stick to standard communication protocols. No more improvisation. I nodded, copy that. But the results kept coming. Client retention improved, delivery efficiency increased, driver satisfaction scores went up across all my routes. Hard to argue with quantifiable operational success. When the annual regional meeting rolled around, I had a pretty good idea what was coming. Big conference room, stale coffee, Howard Lancaster in his standard Navy blazer delivering corporate updates. I sat with the operations team, watching PowerPoint slides about fuel costs and route optimization. Then Howard clicked to the performance metrics screen. Sharp blue chart, line shooting upward at a steep angle. Client satisfaction has improved 41% across the Pacific Northwest region, he announced. That's our highest improvement in 7 years. Actual applause from the room. Not polite corporate clapping, real appreciation. Howard continued, contract renewal rates are up significantly. Multiple clients have voluntarily upgraded service tiers. Driver retention has improved and operational efficiency metrics show consistent gains. That familiar feeling from successful convoy operations, mission accomplished. But I kept my expression professional. Howard didn't mention my name. Didn't need to. Every guy in operations turned to look at me, even the ones who used to roll their eyes when I asked about client family situations or site-specific operational requirements. Rick Powell sat 3 seats away, arms crossed, foot tapping under the table like he was counting down to something. After the meeting, he followed me to the break room. Let's discuss your methodology, he said, closing the door behind us. Which methodology? Don't play dumb, Brennan. You think I don't know what that presentation was really about? I kept my tone level. Howard presented regional performance metrics. Standard quarterly review. Rick stepped closer. This whole emotional manipulation routine you've been running, it's unprofessional. You're making operational decisions based on personal feelings instead of data-driven protocols. Client retention is data. Revenue increase is data. Efficiency improvements are measurable metrics. That's not what I'm talking about. He pulled out a printed memo and dropped it on the table. You're being reassigned to special projects. I want a comprehensive analysis of your client interaction methods. Every conversation, every note, every deviation from standard protocol. Full documentation for executive review. I stared at the memo. Standard punishment detail disguised as performance evaluation. Time frame, 3 weeks. Complete operational analysis with recommendations for scalable implementation. He was trying to bury me in paperwork while taking credit for the improved metrics. Classic corporate maneuvering. Understood. Just so we're clear, Brennan, this doesn't make you irreplaceable. Results are team efforts, not individual achievements. I took the memo without comment and walked out. 3 weeks. Stayed late every night, surviving on vending machine food and bad coffee. Dug through everything. Call logs, delivery records, client feedback forms, internal communications. Built comprehensive spreadsheets connecting client upgrade decisions to proactive communication frequency. Mapped revenue improvements to problem-solving initiatives. 67 pages of documented operational intelligence proving that situational awareness improved both client satisfaction and company profitability. Every metric cross-referenced, every improvement quantified, every successful intervention cataloged. When I submitted the report, I wasn't tired. I felt like I'd just completed mission prep for a major operation. Rick accepted it like routine paperwork. I'll review this and provide feedback. Copy that. Just remember, Brennan, individual tactics don't automatically translate to department-wide strategy. I didn't respond. Let him interpret my silence however he wanted. The email arrived next morning. Subject line, mandatory training, communication protocols, standardization. Rick had reserved the main conference room for 2 hours. All operations personnel required to attend. I knew exactly what this was. Not training, public execution. But I showed up anyway, took my usual position by the windows, second row. Military bearing, professional composure. Whatever Rick had planned, I'd handle it like any other operational challenge. Rick stood at the front, hand on the presentation remote, corporate smile that didn't reach his eyes. Thanks for attending, he began. Today we're examining client communication methods. What works, what creates inefficiencies, and what represents professional best practices versus personal indulgence. He clicked the remote. My stomach went tight, but I kept my expression neutral. There on the projector screen, the front page of my operational analysis, the 67-page report I'd spent 3 weeks building. Charts, metrics, client interaction summaries, all displayed like evidence at a court-martial. Rick didn't look at me. Let's examine some examples of what not to do. That's when I understood. He wasn't just dismissing my work. He was going to publicly humiliate me with it. My phone buzzed in my jacket pocket. Unknown number again. Rick clicked to slide 2. A client note I documented about equipment delivery during family bereavement. He read it aloud in a mocking tone. Site supervisor requested delivery delay due to family funeral. Confirmed alternative schedule and implemented follow-up protocol for Monday. He scanned the room with that corporate superiority look. Seriously, we're tracking family funerals now? What's next, birthday parties? Dead silence, nobody laughed. Click, another slide. Crane operator's son deployed overseas, stress affecting operational performance. Recommend consistent scheduling and clear communication protocols. Rick smirked. Are we running a logistics company or a counseling service? Still nobody laughed. I caught Kenny's eye across the room. His jaw was set tight. So were half the other guys. Rick kept going. 10 more slides, each one twisting operational intelligence into corporate comedy. A note about plant manager retirement planning. Another about foreman safety concerns. Every piece of information that had prevented problems or strengthened client relationships. All turned into ammunition for his efficiency theater. I sat there, hands steady on my knees, watching him destroy 18 months of proven results. Not embarrassed, calculating. These are operational distractions, Rick declared. This kind of hand-holding creates unrealistic client expectations. Our job is logistics coordination, not life coaching. Then he displayed the final slide. My revenue correlation chart showing direct connection between proactive communication and contract renewals. 41% improvement in client satisfaction. Quantifiable results. He ignored the numbers completely, just hovered his mouse over the shared drive folder. I've decided this database creates unnecessary complications. One click, delete. Server space is expensive. Starting next quarter, we'll focus on measurable metrics only. Complete silence. 32 guys watching their supervisor delete proven operational improvements because they didn't fit his corporate efficiency model. My phone buzzed again. Same unknown number. I stood up, stepped toward the door like I was heading to the restroom, kept walking to the hallway. Cole Brennan, this is Pat Sullivan, Apex Freight Solutions. You got 5 minutes? I pressed my back against the wall, watched through the glass as Rick continued his presentation. You've got 3. She laughed. Genuine, not corporate fake. Fair enough. Direct approach. We've been tracking your operational results at Brooks. The client intelligence system, that's your development, correct? I didn't confirm immediately. We've interviewed 6 clients who renewed or upgraded this year. They all mentioned you specifically. Also spoke with 4 drivers who transferred to our company from Brooks. Same feedback. My pulse stayed steady, but I felt that familiar pre-mission focus kicking in. What's the offer? Director of Client Operations. Base salary $95,000. Profit sharing, equity options. Remote flexibility when needed. You build your team using whatever methods work. No hesitation. You asking me to bring client data or internal information? Negative. Just asking you to keep being exactly who you are. That was it. No extended sales pitch, no multi-round interview process. Just someone who understood operational value without needing a PowerPoint presentation. I accept. Contract's ready for digital signature. Can start Monday if you want. Send it! I hung up and walked back toward the conference room. Rick was still talking about streamlined communication protocols and standardized efficiency metrics, like he hadn't just eliminated the system that produced their best quarterly results in 7 years. I stepped into the projector light and faced the room. Same calm I'd felt before convoy operations in hostile territory. Clear thinking, decisive action. Quick announcement, I said, voice carrying to the back wall. Rick's mouth snapped shut. I'm resigning from Brooks Logistics. Effective immediately. Half the room looked confused. The other half looked like they were processing tactical intelligence they hadn't expected. Rick forced that executive laugh. That's not how resignation procedures work, Brennan. You'll need to submit a proper documentation through human resources. I pulled out my phone, opened the contract, turned the screen toward him. Apex Freight Solutions, director level, already signed. He reached for my phone like he had authority to review it. I pulled it back. I don't need your approval, Rick. From the corner, Howard Lancaster stood up without saying a word, straightened his blazer and slipped out of the room like he wanted no part of what was about to happen. Rick stepped forward, trying to regain control. You can't just abandon your responsibilities without proper transition procedures. Watch me. I turned back to the team. For anyone interested in working somewhere that values operational intelligence over corporate theater, you know how to reach me. I didn't wait for responses. Walked out with the same bearing I'd used leaving fire-based briefings. Mission complete, moving to next objective. The elevator opened at Apex Freight's downtown office. Clean space, industrial design, people moving with purpose instead of corporate fear. Every person I passed nodded like I'd already earned my place there. Pat Sullivan came out of her corner office with both hands extended. Welcome to your operation, Cole. My office had real walls, not cubicle partitions. Nameplate read Director of Client Operations. I dropped my gear, opened a new spreadsheet, and started building operational protocols. 2 hours later, my phone rang. Didn't recognize the number, but the name made me sit up straight. Maggie O'Brien, The Vineyard, Cole Brennan. Knew you'd answer direct, she said, relief obvious in her voice. Didn't have to navigate some phone tree maze. What can I do for you, Maggie? Don't suppose Apex handles high-maintenance wine operations that need specialized logistics and actually competent coordination? No sales pitch needed. You know my operational methods. Exactly why I'm calling. By the end of that conversation, we were designing a custom logistics package. Hour later, Tony Romano called. Said my name appeared on LinkedIn, wanted to see if I'd landed somewhere that understood operational excellence. Didn't even need to explain Apex's capabilities. He wanted to transfer his entire Midwest distribution network. Third call came from a regional equipment company that had been lukewarm with Brooks for years. Never provided feedback, never upgraded services, minimal communication. Cole, the operations manager, said, "You're the coordinator who remembered my plant supervisor was dealing with his wife's cancer treatments." Rodriguez, dialysis schedule, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Silence for 3 seconds. Then, how quickly can we move our contracts to Apex? By end of week 1, I had 7 contract transfers in progress. No cold calling, no pressure sales. just clients who remembered what professional logistics coordination actually looked like. Meanwhile, intelligence started filtering back from Brooks Logistics. Rick was scrambling, trying to implement damage control protocols. He'd started sending personalized outreach emails to key clients, except they weren't actually personalized. Standard templates with mail merge fields that half the time contained wrong information. One client forwarded me Rick's email with a note. "Thought you'd find this interesting." Subject line read, "We miss working with you, but referenced equipment that company hadn't used in 2 years. Another mentioned a plant supervisor who'd transferred to a different facility 6 months ago. Templated efficiency meeting operational reality. Results were predictable. Word travels fast in logistics circles. Apex didn't offer discount rates or pressure sell premium services, but industry feedback was spreading. They actually understand operations kept appearing in trade forum discussions and LinkedIn comments. Every time someone called me, they came in already convinced. They remembered the crane operator's name, the plant supervisor's schedule changes, the foreman's safety protocol concerns. All I had to do was answer the phone and deliver what I'd always delivered: attention to operational factors that actually affected their business success. By week 4, Pat stopped looking surprised when quarterly projections came in. 52% growth, she said, reviewing her tablet. Month-over-month client acquisition. I was finalizing another onboarding protocol checklist. Give it 2 more weeks. Maggie's expanding her distribution network into California, and Tony just asked about exclusive routing arrangements for his Colorado expansion. She grinned. "Cole, you're not building a client roster. You're building an operational network." She wasn't wrong. Halfway through first quarter, contract transfers kept accelerating. Small regional accounts, medium-sized distributors, then the major accounts that really got industry attention. Maggie's vineyard operation and Tony's ice cream distribution both formally terminated their Brooks contracts. Maggie posted on LinkedIn the same day. Professional post. Didn't mention names, but thanked the logistics coordinator who treated our operation like it mattered, not like account number 47. Tony commented with agreement and a thumbs up. Pat walked over that afternoon and stuck a note to my monitor. "Keep executing." Same day, someone forwarded me another Brooks email. This one from Rick himself, offering temporary rate reductions and personalized attention from senior management. Standard corporate panic response. Nobody replied. Not one client. 3 months in, industry gossip confirmed what I'd expected. Brooks was hemorrhaging contracts across multiple sectors. Rick had been called into emergency board reviews twice in 1 week. One of my former colleagues texted late one evening, "You didn't hear this from me, but the board's investigating operational decisions from the past year." I'd heard enough. Rick had tried claiming I was actively recruiting Brooks clients, but the timeline was clear. Every contract I'd signed, every call I'd taken, clients had initiated contact. Most within hours of that conference room demonstration, some the same day. The operational data cleared me completely. Same data buried Rick's defense. Month later, Pat handed me a printout during morning briefing. Rick's final strategic move, she said, mass email to Brooks' remaining client base, offering emergency rate cuts and executive-level oversight of all delivery operations. Nobody responded. That was the last time Rick Powell's name came up in professional conversation. Truth was, I didn't need revenge operations. Didn't need to sabotage his career or burn professional bridges. He'd handled all of that himself, one deleted file at a time. I just gave clients an alternative, and they made their own tactical decisions. 4 months later, reviewing quarterly performance reports, my assistant knocked on the office door. "Call from Howard Lancaster," she said. "Claims it's urgent operational matter." I stared at her for 3 seconds. Hadn't heard that name since the day I walked out of Brooks. "Put him through." Howard came on smooth and diplomatic, like he hadn't abandoned ship during that conference room confrontation. "Cole, hoping we can discuss potential collaboration opportunities that benefit both organizations." "Didn't realize we were still operating in the same sector, Howard." He gave that executive chuckle they use when they're trying to project confidence while drowning. "Brooks has experienced some challenging market conditions. We've reevaluated certain operational approaches and would like to offer you a senior leadership position." I leaned back, watching afternoon traffic through my office windows. Continue. Senior Vice President of Strategic Operations. Complete autonomy over client relations, team development, operational methodology. Your protocols, your decisions, compensation package. Double your previous Brooks salary, plus performance bonuses and equity participation. Additional considerations? Full departmental authority. Your recruitment choices, your structural decisions. We're prepared to be extremely flexible. I let silence stretch until it became uncomfortable. Howard Apex provided all of that before it became a desperate necessity. He cleared his throat. I understand, but I don't think you're appreciating the full scope of what Brooks is offering. I think I'm appreciating it perfectly. Cole, this represents a significant opportunity to, Howard, I'm not returning to Brooks. He didn't argue, just quiet acknowledgement and disconnection. 6 weeks later, Brooks announced layoffs affecting 40% of operations personnel. Industry news confirmed they'd sold 2 regional divisions to a Chicago-based firm nobody recognized. Rick Powell wasn't mentioned in remaining organizational structure. Someone forwarded me his updated LinkedIn profile. Operations consultant, process optimization, available for project-based engagements. No mention of Brooks, no mention of management titles. Generic corporate headshot and a list of fabricated achievements. Same day that news broke, Pat called me into her office. We want to formalize your position, she said, sliding a contract across her desk. Header read Apex Freight Solutions with a title across the top, Managing Partner, Strategic Operations Division. I signed before sitting down. The office I used to occupy was just workspace. Now I commanded an entire floor, full operational team, complete strategic autonomy. Real authority, not corporate theater. And I didn't chase business anymore, it came to us. Every contract renewal happened because clients trusted our operational capabilities. We knew their equipment schedules, their personnel situations, their site-specific requirements. We showed up when competitors were still following standard protocols. Industry messages started arriving regularly. Not from clients, from former Brooks personnel. Simple requests, mostly. Any openings available? You were right about operational intelligence. Wish I'd followed your lead. I hired when positions opened, kept building the kind of operation I'd always wanted to run. Perfect thing was, I never had to destroy anything. Rick had handled that mission himself, one efficiency protocol at a time. His obsession with standardized metrics blinded him to the fundamental truth about logistics. People don't stay because you follow procedures. They stay because they know you understand their operational reality. No lawsuits, no public confrontations, no corporate drama, just contracts quietly transferring from one company to another, one satisfied client at a time. Now, when I walk Apex operations floors, I see evidence of what actually works. Photos of drivers' families on workstations, notes about client operational schedules, updates on plant manager retirements and safety officer concerns. Every client file contains operational intelligence that isn't about revenue projections. It's about understanding the human factors that affect mission success. When emails arrive starting with, you probably don't remember this, but I do, every single operational detail. Rick thought it was inefficient social work. I proved it was strategic advantage. And the best part? I didn't need revenge. I just got too damn good to ignore.